The latest news, national issues, the political scene, and conversations with prominent personalities. All these firsthand at the forefront. Good morning. I am Attorney Karen Jimeno. Senate is gearing up for a big day today. We've just talked to Attorney Salvador Panelo a while ago, and he said that both he and former President Rodrigo Duterte are invited as resource persons in today's hearing. Also at the Senate grounds are the Makabayan bloc members holding a big protest rally. With us on the line right now is the chairperson of Gabriela Party List, Ms. Emmy De Jesus. Good morning, Chairperson Emmy.
Good morning, Attorney. Nice to hear from you again.
Ma'am Emmy, can you tell us what Gabriela is planning on doing today at the Senate?
Actually, coming from, we have to, I also would like to explain that today is important day for us because today is the founding day, the 24th year of Gabriela Women's Party. And in fact, coinciding with a very significant event at the Senate, we really would like to register our position in regards to what's happening to really expose the accountability of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Ma'am Emmy, when you say to expose the accountability of former President Duterte, in relation to what? What do you think is he accountable for?
I think what is the most prominent, of course, economic, cultural, when he was known for his misogynist and anti-women statements. But I think what is most important right now is his accountability in regards to human rights violations. So, prominent in regards to human rights violation is his war on drugs. And, of course, we also would like to say that it's not limited to Tokhang program only, but all organizations, individuals who express their discontentment or push for demands during his time, demands in his government. The branding, the branding of red tagging and attacks on his critics. I think those are the major human rights violations that the former president committed against thousands of Filipinos.
And Ma'am Emmy, how do you intend to hold former President Duterte accountable? Will Gabriela be filing cases against President Duterte?
Actually, yung members ng Rise Up, the organization of relatives who are mothers or wives and more on the Rise Up women relatives, we encourage them. We encourage them to give their witness experiences, to witness against the former president.
And Ma'am Emmy, are there other groups that will be going to Senate today along with Gabriela?
All the Makabayan party lists and other organizations whom we ally to plan to also stage their protest at the Senate.
And will Gabriela have any senator to help them ponder questions related to the issues that you raised today, that you said that you intend to have a former President Duterte be accountable for?
Actually, because this is a Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, siguro where Gabriela can really participate in is, and it really participated was during the House of Representatives hearing. But today, I think it is more of registering our support to the witnesses and also to register our position against the crimes of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
And Ma'am Emmy, you mentioned that this is the anniversary founding day of Gabriela Party List. Are there any other activities that Gabriela intends to conduct?
Actually, katatapos lang namin kanina ng isa ring action at the U.S. Embassy. Kasi today, there's a meeting, I think called for by an international body calling for the role of women in regards to the peace issue. Ang position kasi namin dyan, since even before Gabriela Party List was founded, kasi we have this Gabriela Alliance, we really are against any military intervention by any foreign countries. Kasi we already have our lessons, nung nandito yung mga U.S. military forces. And now, I think it's some kind of an affront to discussing issue of peace among women when in fact, right now, alam natin na tuloy-tuloy yung pagpasok ng U.S. military. Actually, it's a whole scheme of U.S. military plan from putting up their bases and sponsoring military exercises.
Thank you so much, Ms. Emmy De Jesus, and happy anniversary founding day to Gabriela.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Karen. Good morning to all.
Thank you so much. And since his arrest in September, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy appeared last week before the Senate. Police officials testified that they have new evidences to prove that Pastor Quiboloy sexually exploited female members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Based on the testimonies of Filipino and foreign female victims, Pastor Quiboloy was aiming to acquire 1,000 women to replicate the biblical story of King Solomon. With his hands full of criminal cases, can religion save Pastor Quiboloy from the current legal predicament he is in? Joining us this morning live here at the BNC studio is one of the legal counsels of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, Attorney Israelito Torreon. Good morning, Attorney Israel.
Hello, good morning, Ma'am Karen. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
And so you are the counsel or one of the counsels of Pastor Quiboloy, but first, can you tell us how you became the counsel for Pastor Apollo Quiboloy?
Well, quite a long time already. I was
How
actually...
many years?
For the past 9 or 10 years already. I was Dean of Correaso Law School in Digo City, Davao del Sur. And then he invited me in his birthday. And right then and there, I was offered to put up his law school. And that became Jose Maria College Law School today. So since then, I became his personal counsel. And then thereafter, I became the lawyer of Kingdom of Jesus Christ. And in certain cases, also Jose Maria College. So from 2015 or 2016 until now, I'm his personal counsel, and in certain cases, counsel likewise of KOJC as well as Jose Maria College.
Are you also a follower of the KOJC, Kingdom of Jesus Christ religion?
I am an admirer, but I am a practicing Muslim. I became a Muslim likewise in 2015. I am Balik Islam.
Okay. But forgive me for asking this. You look very young, and you say you've been a lawyer for KOJC, Pastor Quiboloy, not only for the religion, but also personal matters. How old were you at the time that you were engaged?
Well, thank you very much. I consider that as a compliment. I'm actually 53 years old. I've been in the practice of law for 26 years. I became a lawyer in 1998. And, maybe I just pray a lot. We Muslims pray 5 times a day, and that actually reduces or if not eliminates stress. So to answer your question, what was that question?
No, it was more of saying that you were still very young. You were in your 40s when you were asked by Pastor Quiboloy to be his counsel. And what was it like working with Pastor Quiboloy? How would you describe him as a person?
Well, you would be surprised if you would come to know him personally. You can learn a lot from him. Our conversations are actually very lively in the light of the fact that we share many interests, such as but not limited to discussions of religion. And he is open to such ideas, and as a matter of fact, he preached about Islam also in one of his preachings. He preached about the certain, these teachings in the Quran, and that actually is one of the reasons why many Muslims would actually respect him a lot. And he is likewise very charismatic and very friendly and ultra generous. And that is probably the reason why so many members are so attracted to him and so devoted to him and his teachings. I have been with him for quite a long time already, and I can say with certainty that the charges against him are clearly made up. And I know for a fact that he is innocent, ma'am, of the charges filed against him. This may be as a direct result of the graces given to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many people are perhaps envious of the success that he is getting nowadays.
And in those 10 years, is this the first time that cases have been filed against him in the 10 years you've represented him?
Well, I have represented him in the new cases especially, but I also represented him in the cases that he filed, libel cases, cyber libel cases against certain persons. And, the cases in this administration are the ones that I am handling
right now. And how many cases are there existing currently?
Well, existing criminal cases.
And what type?
There is only one who filed against him here in the Philippines, and
what
that is.
What type of case is that?
This is first it was rape. It was dismissed, and now it was converted to trafficking in persons, and now pending in the Regional Trial Court of Pasig City, and another one which is related actually to the human trafficking cases. And it is pending in Quezon City, sexual abuse and related to forced labor also.
And these are filed by former members or current members of KOJC?
Only one member filed against him here in the Philippines.
And in social media, there were rumors that the human trafficking and child abuse cases against Pastor Quiboloy were dismissed. Is that accurate?
Yes, in the in a certain way, it is correct, because in the United States of America, the cases filed against his members, specifically insofar as human trafficking, forced labor, and money laundering were dismissed against his 4 members already.
4 members, but not against Pastor Quiboloy.
But not against Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. But the rape case against him was dismissed, and all other cases were initially dismissed in the prosecution's office in Davao City. Only that the complainant filed a petition for review in the Department of Justice, and that slept for more than 3 years. And then again, after the Senate investigation initiated by Senator Hontiveros, it suddenly became alive again. And now informations were filed first in Davao City, but transferred here in Pasig as well as Quezon City.
Active cases, you mentioned 2. Those are the real, currently ongoing cases are 2.
Yes, actually 4, 2 in Pasig and 2 in Quezon City, but only emanated from one complainant.
Oh,
and that
so
is
all
Brenda
those
Portugal.
pending cases emanate from one complainant.
One complainant.
And in the United States, are you aware if there are still active cases against Pastor Quiboloy?
Yes, because they were charged together with his members, but the cases against his members were already dismissed. which brings me to my point that if the cases against his members who were personally involved in the cases there were dismissed, then with much more reason that if Pastor Apollo Quiboloy would face them, it would likewise, or these cases would likewise be dismissed.
But does he intend to face his cases in the United States?
Of course, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So he already has legal representation in the United States
Indeed,
as well?
indeed. We are represented, or he is represented by a number of lawyers in the United States of America.
Let's go back to the time when there was a PNP raid in the KOJC compound. You previously had a confrontation with General Nicolas Torre III. Can you describe to us what happened at that time?
Well, it was, should I say, exciting, a little bit scary, because you are confronted with more than 4,000 policemen before you, fully armed and with high-tech equipment such as LRAD. This LRAD, if it is operated, it can really harm your eardrums because it is used against pirates in Somalia, but I don't know how we were able to acquire it here in the Philippines. It was used there. And right.
So are you implying that the PNP received assistance from foreign agents like the United States?
I don't know, but they had really high-tech equipments. They even had high-tech equipment supposedly to locate for heartbeats, which turned out to be a dud. They even had high-tech equipments which would scan the earth to look for persons who are allegedly hiding there. It was all in the open during that time. And if you, I had no choice that time because my other lawyers were not there, and I had to confront him and politely requested if he has with him warrants of arrest. And it turned out that he only had one warrant of arrest, and that was for Sylvia Simanes. And the address of Sylvia Simanes is in Pasig City. So I told him, sir, this is Sylvia Simanes, and this, his address is in Pasig City. Can you please tell us if this is legal, considering the fact that the National Bureau of Investigation already issued a certification that they already conducted a search here. And I think the rest is history. He gave us 30 minutes in order for us to open the gate. We actually agreed, but in less than 10 minutes, we already received reports that the southern portion of our gate was practically destroyed. And they were using tear gases, and one person died, so many persons injured, and they used this warrant of arrest as if it was a more than search warrant, because they stayed, they used the KOJC compound like their own house. They converted it into a police garrison where they lived there, actually. And even the cathedral was cordoned. No member can anymore pray in the cathedral. And not only that, they even went to the extent of excavating the
and
school.
Attorney Israelito, you mentioned earlier that there were over 4,000, but the number that was reported was about 2,000 PNP personnel. How did you determine that it was over 4,000?
It was even more than 5,000 at one time.
How do you know this?
How do you know this? Because during the Senate investigation himself, General Torre, you know, he's very talkative, and he uses his mouth a lot. And during the Senate testimony just 3 days ago or so, he stated there in his speech, he was with 4,500 policemen. And, you know, that is an admission against interest, and that is admissible in evidence, and we can use that against him. And in many of his pronouncements in the past, he said that he had more than 5,000 policemen.
And in this case, was Pastor Quiboloy really at the KOJC compound at that time?
I really did not have any idea from August 24 up to September 8, and even before that. It was only on September 8 that the ISA informed me that he was in the, in the KOJC compound already. And he was,
do you think it was possible for Pastor Quiboloy to enter undetected? Because at that time, there were already, as you said, 4,500 PNP personnel. So if he was outside of the compound, how could have he entered undetected?
That is for Pastor Apollo Quiboloy to say, but the ISAF personnel actually told me on September 8 that Pastor Apollo Quiboloy managed to go inside it only to save the face of the PNP. And actually, he initially surrendered to ISAF. But then again, that's another story because Pastor Apollo Quiboloy already invoked his right to remain silent during the Senate investigation. But the fact is, he surrendered. He was not arrested.
Well, General Torre was promoted to head the CIDG after the arrest of Pastor Quiboloy. What is your comment on that?
Well, it reflects on the kind of leadership that we have. And if we have a leadership that respects human rights, that values human dignity above all else, then we could have seen a different picture. But the fact that he was promoted speaks a lot of volume of the, the concern as well as the priorities of the current administration of President Marcos, as well as PNP General Marbil.
Attorney Israelito, were you in touch with Pastor Quiboloy at that time when he was still, when the police were looking for him for a long time before the raid in the compound happened? No one knew where he was. Were you in touch with him at that time, and did he have any plans of surrendering himself?
With all honesty, ma'am, I did not have any idea nor inkling as to his whereabouts. And my last communication with him was prior to the issuance of the warrant of arrest by the Senate. And that I remember there were even other lawyers during that time, and that was the time that I had a long conversation. It was really a long conversation with him, and we even strategized as to what would happen during that time. And we did not know that the Senate would indeed issue a warrant of arrest, but we strategized what if this would happen, what would he do, what would I do, being his lead counsel, and such and such. And the only time that I learned again where was his exact whereabouts was on September 8th. And that was the time where I assisted him already in surrendering to the ISAF.
September 8th, that was before he surrendered.
Immediately before he surrendered, I met him when I was already in the compound. I asked the, the KOJC leader as to his exact location, because even the PNP, because we had to contact the PNP, that was the insistence of the ISAF, did not know as to his whereabouts.
Yeah. So where was he at that time when you were contacted? Where was his exact location?
Well, at about 4 o'clock or 4:30 or around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he was at the back of the Bible school. That's
so
where
it was
he met him.
inside the compound.
He was already inside the compound by that time.
But you didn't know where he came from?
I did not know. Even the police general who accompanied us did not know. Even the policemen there were thousands of policemen there, did not know his exact whereabouts.
Okay, and he mentioned during his testimony in the Senate that there are about 7 million KOJC members. Police officials say that there are only about 8,000. Which one's the correct number? Because that's a big difference.
Well, I know the motivation of the police that they are saying this, but you could see actually even his, ceremonies or programs here in Ultra, you could say that even Ultra is filled to the rafters. And next, he would go to Baguio. I was there likewise, and the gym there was filled to the rafters. Well, I know their motivation. Why would they say that? If only to maybe lessen the influence of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. They are entitled to that opinion, but I know personally that there are more than that.
Yes. And if Pastor Quiboloy had around 7 million followers, that's sufficient to muster like a huge, like a big protest. Why was there no protest on his behalf to prevent his arrest or to prevent any of these investigations?
You never heard him call for a protest. you never heard him call for a mass mobilization against this government, even if he was under attack. So you could not fault him because of the absence of this great mobilization, and therefore you conclude that he has no 7.5 million members. To my mind, that is non sequitur. It does not follow. It shows even his great patience, because despite the fact that he is under attack, in the light of utter lack of evidences against him, and any and all charges have already been alleged against him, yet he remained calm, he remained patient, and he never called against mass protest against the government.
Well, right now there are allegations that Pastor Quiboloy is trying to replicate King Solomon's 700 wives and 300 concubines. Is that true? But before you answer that question, Attorney Israelito will have to take a short break. At the forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the forefront. Attorney Israelito, there are allegations that Pastor Quiboloy was trying to replicate King Solomon's 700 wives and 300 concubines. Is that true?
That's an amazing and incredible allegation, but it's not true. It's definitely not true, and we even have a joke about it, a private joke, which I can share with you if you like. And he told me, and I really had a great laugh. I told him, Pastor, imagine the allegation, you have 700 wives, or 300 wives, 700 concubines, a la, what's it called this, King Solomon. And so, well, I'm even happy that there is that wild allegation against me. Go, why would you be happy, Pastor? Well, it shows and proves that I am not an homosexual. I'm not gay. No, so it's not really true, ma'am. And I don't know who invented this tale, web of lies against him, but it's definitely not true.
So for those, there were women that testified against him in Senate. They seem to have, well, of course, their first-hand evidence or testimony that there were inappropriate relationships. How does Pastor Apollo Quiboloy defend himself against these first-hand testimonies?
Well, we will just wait for the affidavit complaints to be filed in the prosecutor's office, and that will be the proper venue by which or in which we can respond intelligently to these wild complaints. I say wild simply because of the fact that they are not true. And the members also of the KOJC have stories against these women, but I am a gentleman, ma'am. I would not go to that level of destroying the character of these women. It's just that Pastor Apollo Quiboloy has concrete and definite defenses to wallop any and all accusations, sexual or otherwise, against him.
What about allegations that there are KOJC members that are forced to beg and ask for money, and that some of the KOJC members are forced to meet a quota for the whole religion?
Well, they are just that, allegations. No? They are just allegations which have to be proven in court. And I hope and pray that all of these allegations would die down simply because of the fact that they have one thing in common. No? They have one thing in common. They are invented, and that they do not deserve our attention. Now, if they are really aggrieved, as what Pastor Apollo Quiboloy has said in this Senate investigation, they are free to file cases in courts.
But what would be their motive to lie and make up these stories against Pastor Quiboloy?
There is an objection to that in law school. We learned. I am incompetent to answer that. What is in their minds, what would be their motive? And I would perhaps say that in this interview, because I would not know what is in their minds. Maybe they are paid, maybe somebody forced them to testify against him. Maybe this is part of the grand orchestra in order to destroy his image and influence, so that in effect, President Duterte would likewise be destroyed. But that is just my speculation on the matter, as I would not know what is in the minds of these witnesses.
Well, since you mentioned former President Duterte, why did Pastor Quiboloy choose former President Duterte to be the administrator for the KOJC's estate. Why not a member of KOJC?
I have an answer to that. Why not? Well, President Rodrigo Duterte is a person of integrity, high qualities, and he respects him so much, he trusts him so much, and that was probably his motivation why he appointed him as the KOJC administrator. So the answer to that question is, why not? He has all the qualities to become the administrator.
So currently, the former
is still-
President Duterte is still the administrator.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
And should President Duterte be elected to Senate in 2025, do you think that there's going to be a conflict of interest for former President Duterte as senator to continue holding that position?
I believe that could not happen because if my memory serves me right, I had a conversation with him around a week or two ago. He did not run for Senate.
He didn't file. Okay.
He didn't
I was
file.
having this conversation earlier with one of our team in the production, and I said, wasn't former President Duterte going to file as mayor? And they said that from their knowledge, he filed for mayor and then changed it to Senate. So based on your personal knowledge, he's
did
going
not.
to run for mayor.
Yes, yes. I may be mistaken. I'm just a human being, ma'am. But he did not run for the Senate. There was an intrigue that he will withdraw and then run for Senate. But even withdrawal now is very limited only.
COMELEC changed the rules.
Yes,
It's very
changed the
limited
rules.
circumstances.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir. Yes,
should he become mayor, would you think that he will still continue to be administrator, or will there be any conflict?
We will cross the bridge when we get there. It will be an opportunity, likewise, perhaps on the part of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy to reassess.
Yeah.
But while it is not yet happening, I cannot speculate.
Well, since we're talking about politics, Pastor Quiboloy did file for a certificate of candidacy to run as senator for 2025. Why did Pastor Quiboloy run for Senate? Isn't he going to be busy with facing the cases filed against him?
Actually, there is a story to it, ma'am, because I requested him that I go to on a quick break to Vietnam at that time. We agreed that he will no longer file for the senatorship. But then again, while I was there, I heard that Mark Tolentino visited him. So that was perhaps the reason why he was convinced to run for the Senate. And I could not fault him, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, because he really has a lot to offer to our republic. And his ideas really are quite good for us, and he can certainly contribute to the ongoing discussion as to how we can move our country forward. And the fact that he decided to run for the Senate made me more convinced to help him, because if he will be there, he can certainly propose legislations that would spur economic growth and that would likewise help our country go a notch higher than what we are today.
And don't you think that this running for Senate and then having to face charges and then having to be the leader of a religion, all of them have a demand for time that would be conflicting if, for example, he was elected as senator? Who is leading KOJC right now?
Well, he is still the leader of KOJC, and he organized KOJC in such a way that even in his absence, it can continue to operate. And it is continuing to operate, as a matter of fact, till this day. And the fact that he is running for the Senate, and should he win as senator, and the fact that he is still the leader of the KOJC is not really a problem, because nowadays we have advancement of technology. You can actually multitask, and you can actually delegate certain tasks to your trusted staff. And with his intelligence, I think he can very well do it.
And you don't think that there are any regulations that would prohibit him from carrying out these two roles, as head of a religion and then as a public official?
That is a very nice idea, ma'am. But I am dean of a law school. I do not know of any regulations that would prohibit him from doing that. And as a matter of fact, I think a leader of a congregation in the past even ran for president. But he lost. But that did not prevent him from running. But with Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, if he will really win, and I hope he wins, and I know he will win, he can very well do multitasking. And with the, again, you can actually direct and you can actually accomplish a lot today, even if you are not in the actual place where you are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And in 2018, Pastor Quiboloy was arrested by the FBI in Hawaii. Well, you can correct me if any of this research is wrong. Pastor Quiboloy was arrested by FBI in Hawaii for attempting to smuggle around $300,000 by private plane to the Philippines. But he reportedly escaped prosecution because his head of operations, Felina Salinas, took the fall for him. So, one, is this accurate? And then second, are there still any cases apart from human trafficking that are pending against Pastor Quiboloy in the United States?
First, we have to correct facts.
Okay.
The Hawaii case, I know that personally because I was the one handling some of it. Okay, he was not arrested. He was parked for questioning simply because of the fact that there was money inside, found allegedly inside his private plane. But then again, I think you know that after he was parked for questioning, he was released. And as a matter of fact, when he arrived in the Philippines, he went straight to Ultra and preached there with more than 10,000 people in attendance, okay? So that would answer the question as to whether or not he was arrested. And no case about that was filed against him per my personal knowledge, although I may be mistaken in that regard. But I was the one who negotiated with the, what you call this, U.S. Homeland Security.
Yes.
I wrote a letter, and when I arrived in Hawaii, it was immediately released to me, the private plane. I had to call our staff, the pilot, to fly to Hawaii right away, and my beloved wife and the pilot and other staff went with my wife, and it was that pilot who brought the aircraft back to the Philippines, and that was the end of the story insofar as that Hawaii episode is concerned.
Okay. And as Pastor Quiboloy's legal counsel, how confident are you that the case or cases against him will be dismissed? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the forefront. Attorney Israelito, as Pastor Apollo Quiboloy's legal counsel, are you confident that the cases against him in the Philippines will be dismissed?
Well, everything lies on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm a devout Muslim, ma'am. Everything happens for a reason, and everything is directed by the great architect of the universe. Now, I do believe that he is innocent, and if Allah will help us, then all of these cases will be dismissed. But on a personal level, I personally believe that as long as the sun rises in the east, all of these cases will be dismissed.
Currently, are you the only lawyer handling these cases, or does he have a legal team?
Insofar as Pastor Apollo Quiboloy is concerned, I am his counsel. But during the end, as to the other 5, initially I was the only legal counsel handling it, of course, with the able assistance of my associates, such as Attorney Resi Rizada Nolasco and other of my associates. But then again, it became a matter of strategy to hire also prominent lawyers to defend individually the 5 other accused. So all in all, the 6 accused are represented by different counsels. But insofar as Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, I am the lead counsel in that regard.
Why do you think that there's a need to hire prominent lawyers?
Well, in handling cases, ma'am, there is a need for you to concentrate on the defense of a particular client. Even if I felt that I would be competent to handle all, as they have more or less similar defenses. But then again, we are talking about the liberty and life of an individual person who are special in their own right. So I thought it best that if they will be represented by prominent counsels likewise, very competent counsels. These counsels can likewise focus on their individual defenses of each of the accused. And I would only concentrate fully on the defenses of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. And that's not a bad practice, ma'am.
What about in the U.S.? What are the current existing cases against Pastor Quiboloy?
If my memory serves me right, just like the members, because they are alleging conspiracy, so forced labor, money laundering, human trafficking, visa scam, no? These are the 4 cases, I think. But then again, you already know that 4 of his members, these cases have been dismissed. So we are hoping and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the cases against Pastor Apollo Quiboloy would likewise be dismissed in the United States of America because they have the same facts. And since they involve the same facts, so if they would be applied to Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, who is based in the Philippines, not in the U.S., then with more reason that these cases would likewise be dismissed.
And based on how you know Pastor Quiboloy, you've known him for about 10 years now, what's his personal life like? Does he have a family, a wife, and children?
Well, he has a family, and his family is the KOJC. He considers the KOJC as his one big family. He considers each member as his belonging to his flock. And he spends his day reading. And as a matter of fact, every time, right after this, I will visit him again in Camp Crame. You would be surprised by the number of books that he is reading, ma'am. And that perhaps explain why he is so learned, why he is so open, and he is so tolerant.
But biologically, no children? No biological children?
From what I know, he has no children, ma'am. He is living his life as a preacher, and I have no personal knowledge as to whether or not he has children.
And he also has no wives? Like
he has no wife,
no
and
marriage.
I hope you won't believe the wild stories against him, ma'am. It's all stories. It's part of a grand orchestrated plan to destroy him.
Is celibacy a requirement in the KOJC religion for the pastor of the religion?
I am not aware if such rule is present, and I have not encountered a rule that prohibits a pastor, if he wants to marry or otherwise. But in the KOJC, there is only one pastor. He is the executive pastor, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy.
But are you aware if he personally practices celibacy as part of his pastor role?
He has no wife, so therefore, yes.
Okay. And some people say that the only way that Pastor Quiboloy can be saved is if Vice President Sara Duterte gets elected as president in 2028. What are your comments to those types of statements?
Those type of statements are really, speculations only. And I would not give that justice simply because of the fact that it robs the great architect of the universe of his plan as to what to do with the life of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. Whatever grand plans that we have is actually under the control of the great architect of the universe. So I would not say that that is for certain, okay? It may happen, it may not, but to our mind, the cases against him can be dismissed. And we are awaiting the dismissal of the cases, or if not dismissed, he will be acquitted. And that is our firm belief.
And during the Senate hearing, Pastor Quiboloy said that he is being subjected to trial by publicity.
Indeed.
What is your comment on that?
Indeed. This is indeed a trial by publicity because we already filed a motion for reconsideration before the regional trial court, that Senate investigation, because we scoured Supreme Court decisions and we actually did not encounter any situation where a person who is already an accused can be required to appear in a Senate investigation where the very same case is likewise discussed. And we invoke People versus Ison as well as 28 U.S. cases which would back up our argument. And in People versus Ison, it was very clear that there is a difference between a witness and an accused. A witness can refuse to answer specific incriminating questions, but an accused can refuse to take the witness stand altogether. But in this case, it is the Senate, which is separate and distinct from the court. So if a person who is an accused can refuse to take the witness stand in an actual case in a court, how much more if there is, how much more in a Senate investigation?
Yes, and in this Senate investigation, Senator Risa Ontiveros said that they already wrapped up the investigation against Pastor Quiboloy. Do you foresee that he might be asked to also appear in the Quadcom hearings in Congress?
I could not speculate on that, ma'am. That's really up to the decision of our good congressman. I do hope it does not happen, and I do hope and pray that they would understand that Pastor Apollo Quiboloy's cases are reigning, so his tribulations are so great. I do hope and pray that they would not add up to his tribulations already.
So right now, based on the cases filed, Pastor Quiboloy, we can expect him to be appearing in courts only.
Yes.
I mean, so far, because the Senate investigation has wrapped up.
Yes, yes.
In the courts, do you think that the argument for freedom of religion, the exercise of freedom of religion, can save Pastor Quiboloy?
Not only that, what can save him is his innocence, because all of these cases are actually trumped up. And as a matter of fact, all of these cases filed by one member were dismissed in the city prosecution's office. And as what I have already told you, it stayed in the Department of Justice for more than 3 years. We invoked Tatad versus Sandigan Bayan, Katamko versus Sandigan Bayan, and a host, Kagang versus Sandigan Bayan, and a host of other decided cases by the Supreme Court to say and to argue that his right to speedy disposition of cases have been violated, aside from the fact that there is really no probable cause against him. And as a matter of fact, ma'am, our motion for reconsideration with the Department of Justice is still pending up to this date. And that has not been acted upon by our good Secretary of Justice. And I hope and pray that he will act on it so that if he will maintain that there is probable cause, we can at least go up to the Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court, whichever is proper. And that is part of due process. And even our petition for certiorari before the Court of Appeals questioning the finding of the probable cause is still pending. All of these are within the rights of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, which we are availing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Attorney Israelito Torreon. And we'll continue to monitor what goes on with all of these cases.
Thank you, Ma'am Karen. Thank you for the privilege.
Pastor Apollo Quiboloy did not expect to get a fair treatment from the Senate hearing last week, but he is confident that he can defend himself before a competent court of law, regardless of whether he wins or loses as senator in the 2025 elections. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news, always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for meaningful conversations that would help you form an objective personal opinion. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.